Hey, everybody, welcome to Wrestling Travels Lockdown Sessions, brought to you today, as always, by our good friends, Wrestle Merch Central down in London. That is your hub for all things professional wrestling in Europe and the United Kingdom, so please check them out at WrestleMerchCentral.com. Today, speaking of all things professional wrestling, we are welcoming, I'm so thrown off already, welcome Teal Piper and Deimos to the show. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Look at my green screen just going all funky in the background. So we're going to air this WrestleMania week. We're really excited about everything. So I want to talk about everything that you guys will be doing WrestleMania week coming up. But first, I want to get just a little bit of background from you all. How long have you each been in the business? I know I could probably look this up, but I'm going to ask you.
Well, I'm newer to the business. Obviously, I grew up with my dad and everything, but I didn't actually pursue wrestling until after he passed. I had taken over a book he had started about his life and kind of saw all the passion and drive he had for wrestling and how much he loved it, and went through the 70s and 80s of his career to kind of look at how he got into it. And it kind of made me want to experience that and see what it was he loved so much about it. And one thing led to another, and I ended up loving it myself. So for me, I'm relatively new to the industry.
This will be my 18th year in the business.
Awesome. Now Deimos, I think Teal had told me you worked or broke in with Nikolai Volkov. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's the guy who broke me into the business. Yes.
So my question, and Teal, I gotta apologize to you because I know of your dad and stuff like that. But I gotta ask you, Deimos, now, what got you into professional wrestling? When you were younger watching, who were some people that you were watching that said, "Hey, I got to get into this"?
Well, honestly, it was the Ultimate Warrior, her dad, the Macho Man, all that group of guys inspired me to get into the industry. I loved it.
Fantastic. And then, so you Nikolai Volkov, I didn't even where was that at? Where were you?
He actually used to live in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
So I would just travel there and train with him.
And I think I got to see him. The last time I saw him was 2015. He was on a show out in Pennsylvania, and I fully did not expect him to do anything but sign autographs. But he got in the ring and sang the national anthem and got involved in tag matches and everything. And I mean, just had the look of a guy who just absolutely loved what he was doing and loved being around the fans. So, I mean, he did it well for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Very
strict and stern trainer, too.
Very strict and stern trainer. Okay, cool. I was going to ask you if you got a good Nikolai story for us here WrestleMania week.
Well, I mean, I guess the first time I ever took a bump in the ring was him just grabbing me and say, "You take body slam now." Didn't tell me how to do it. Didn't tell me to breathe out or tuck my chin. Just picked me up without me knowing at his age and dumped me on my back in the ring and said, "Now you do body slam. I teach you how to do right." Like, all right.
That's all. That's like teaching somebody to swim by throwing them off the end of the boat. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So Teal, I know the hard part about interviewing you is I know that everybody's asking questions about your dad, and while I'm sure that you love that because you love talking about your dad, but I'm sure it tries to get old. But your dad, I'm going to assume, I watched a little bit of Bill Apter talking with you, and I kind of thought this the same, that coming up through the ranks as him, he probably wasn't real excited about wanting his daughter to get into the business, I would imagine.
You know what? I think about that often. I think that's a big reason as to why I wasn't really considering it when he was around. He was from a different era. I think that if he saw where women's wrestling is at today in just a few years since he passed, I think that he would have a much more optimistic view of me getting into the industry. It's a hard lifestyle, as I'm sure a lot of wrestlers have told you before. So I think that for him, he always wants what's best for his kids and them to have a happy life. And, I think especially with being daughters in such a male driven industry, I think that was concerning to him. But I think ultimately if he was around and saw how much I love doing it and how passionate I'm about it, I think that he would be happy and supportive for me. I think he would drag his feet getting there though.
Right. And it did take quite a turn. I mean, it's not like the women today are athletic badasses.
They're not just accessories to the men anymore. And I think that's what he wanted me to avoid,
Yeah, because I think if it would have been, hey, Dad, I'm getting into the business and I'm going to be in Raw's next bra and panties match, I think he would be like, versus now
I feel like I'm going to get yelled at just hearing that.
Just hearing that. Yeah. So I was just invited on a podcast that was talking about MMA and boxing and crossovers into pro wrestling, and Ronda Rousey's name obviously comes up. Have you and her talked? Do you guys know it? Because I'm not sure what is and what is not, but with the Rowdy name and everything.
Yeah, no, she's a good friend of ours. We awesome. Especially during COVID and everything was so shut down. So we had found like a single ring to train in. And, her being an athlete, of course, always wants to train as well. So, we would get together and got to know each other. And, she's a wonderful person. And, we all have a very positive relationship. So.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because they were asking questions about, like, I don't really know. All I know is from what I see. So now you guys are in, Deimos, you've been in 18 years.
Yes.
So where have and I know you've done some dark matches and stuff with with World Wrestling Entertainment. So now you guys are doing this intergender tag team. Has that been a big adjustment? I mean, obviously you guys get along and it's probably traveling, but how has that been an adjustment to your career?
I guess two things. It makes the psychology of putting together matches more interesting for me because it's something I've never had to do that way. So that's a new chapter to explore for me. I've never been able to explore. And I guess on a personal level, I mean, that's my fiance. So, I mean, it's both fun and frightening because you always don't want her to get hurt,
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit though.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a little bit once you guys are traveling and spending 24/7 together. Maybe let her take a bump here or two. No, and how's that like for I guess for the both of you? It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect scenario. Like, who doesn't want to work with in such a exciting and fun industry to be in, and to get to work with the person you love and perform with them. It's a lot of fun. It just sort of formed over the last couple years, and year and a half, I guess. And the more we started training together and talking about our ideas and stuff, the more it just made sense to do the tag team thing. And we've just been having a lot of fun doing it. It's so great to have them in the ring with me.
No, it's all, and the fact that you're traveling with your loved one has got to be that sense of security. If you're having a bad day,
I think a lot of wrestlers, complain about being on the road so much and being away from their families and stuff, because it's that lifestyle. So we're very lucky to not, to get to do it together.
Yeah. Now I call this show the Lockdown Sessions because I started it after WrestleMania got canceled last year. As you know, wrestling travel, we provide a great service to the fans getting to different events around the world. Then WrestleMania got canceled. And I thought, hey, what can I do? We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a lot of followers. Let's start talking to people and seeing how they're getting on during the pandemic. What has this year been like for you guys? When did you probably had a point where you had your last match and then you weren't sure what was next coming up? What was that
like? Started before the pandemic for both of us. I blew out my knee. So I had met him about a week before I was getting my ACL replaced and my meniscus worked on. And he had just broken his neck and had his neck rebuilt. So the pandemic hit maybe 3 days after I had my surgery. So in a weird way, it couldn't have been better timing because neither of us could have worked for quite some time while we rehab these injuries.
Yeah.
So out of all years for that to happen, it kind of worked well for us. But also it gave us a lot of time to hang out and connect because we were both, invalids,
Yeah.
like, trying to heal, and everything was shut down. So, we spent a lot of time just hanging out, talking wrestling, getting to know each other, talking about what we wanted to do when the world opened up. And now we're doing it, even though the world's still catching up to us. We're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. You guys are the first guys I've talked to a few people that the injury bug was right there. And it's like, man, actually, this is good timing. Now you broken neck. Was that a result of in the ring and
yeah, I got dropped on my head in the middle of a match and my whole right side went paralyzed. I broke my C4 and C5.
They like exploded.
Wow. So what is that? That's scary as hell, man. And then you're back.
I was paralyzed. So they went in and had to pick out all the bone fragments and put in a bunch of metal disc replacements. And now here I am.
Wow. Well, how long was that process before you got back in the ring then? Recovery, I guess, the whole thing.
I guess I didn't step foot myself into in a ring until maybe November. So almost a year. I mean, it took me months before I could even start lifting weights again,
Now, physically, I know that's tough, but what does that, what did that do to you mentally? Like getting back in the ring, did you have a little?
It's hard because you got, after any injury, you always have to learn to retrust your body, and I've had a few injuries and surgeries, and it takes time to, learn to trust that part of your body again at that level. But I guess with the neck one, it's just a little extra because if that part goes, you go.
Yeah.
So it's a little higher stakes.
Yeah. Wow. So, man, bless you for getting back in there.
Very terrifying for a while.
Yeah. I mean, so good. You're looks like you haven't missed it too many days in the weight room recently.
Actually, I lost 30 pounds of muscle.
So where are you? How close are you getting back to all your muscle, your weight and stuff?
Right before I broke my neck, I was 285. Now I'm about 250. So still got a little ways to go.
A little ways to go, but you're probably feeling pretty good in the ring. Teal, you're probably upset that. What's that?
I feel lighter.
Yeah, I was gonna say lighter. You're doing a lot of. Now he's getting into the high flying stuff now instead of the ground and pound. So I got to ask you, the Teal Talks that you did, obviously your dad, known for so many awesome aspects of wrestling. He broke in when they were the rule breakers. It had to be so tough, but kind of known, obviously for his mouth. His gift of gab was awesome. And I know you had done the Teal Talks and stuff on there. So is that something that is just an extra step for you to kind of feel like I got to fill these shoes as a wrestler, and not only that, but the mouth?
Yes and no. Coming from like an acting background, I've always felt more comfortable talking than I do. That part came more natural for me than the athleticism. So for me, it was, everything with dad in wrestling has a giant cloud over my head. Like I mostly just try to not try to emulate him or be like a copy and paste, a lesser version. Like I just kind of try to do my own thing, but I'm aware of it. I'm very aware that people are like, oh, is it going to be just like Roddy's or lesser, So, there's a stigma to it, but all in all, I just try to be myself as much as I can and do my own thing and not worry so much about pleasing people and being, another version of my dad or something like that, because you just go crazy trying to fill shoes like that.
Absolutely. We just had, being that it's Hall of Fame week and WrestleMania and stuff, I got the pleasure through our friends at WrestleBart Central to talk with Georgia Smith. So the daughter of the British Bulldog, who was just recently inducted in the Hall of Fame. And kind of asking her, she said that was never a thought in her head to go into the business because dad was like, no, you're not. And she said she never had one, just never thought she'd ever, never had an issue wanting to do it. But now here you were just kind of trying it out a little bit in the bug. Yeah.
Like I said, like, I don't know that getting in the business would have been an option when he was around. I think that he was very protective, especially of the women in the family. And I don't know, like, he just didn't see that for us. But like I said, the industry has developed a lot in the last few years, especially for the women, and they're taken seriously. It's not what it used to be. So I think that with all that in mind, he probably would have come around, but I can't imagine looking him in the face and telling him that I'm wrestling.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So he's probably, now that he can see the whole picture though.
Yeah.
I know you guys I want to be very respectful of your time, but you're going to have a lot of things going on WrestleMania week. Can you guys kind of, whatever you can remember off the top of your head, we're recording a little bit out from WrestleMania, but can you guys let us know where we can find you if we're in the area?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest two places is WrestleFest.
WrestleStock.
WrestleStock.
Okay.
There's been a lot of going back and
WrestleCon.
And WrestleCon.
At WrestleCon.
So we'll be at WrestleStock the 9th and 10th for most of the day, and we'll be at WrestleCon from noon to 2 on Saturday.
Fantastic.
So it's the 9th and 10th? Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll be doing that. We also have shows with ARW and SWE. We're working with both companies pretty regularly, about once a month. So you can check us out at any of their events.
Okay, fantastic. And then what's Magic City? I have Magic City written down.
Oh yeah, Magic City's a new up and coming promotion down in Miami. It's going to be having me come in there and start a program with Carlito and a few other people. It's going to be fun.
That sounds awesome. We'll make sure that on Wrestling Travel we kind of plug and look at that. So my last final question, and Deimos, I kind of already asked you for a Nikolai Volkov story. So if you have one, but everybody who runs Wrestling Travel looks at my little YouTube interview show and goes, hey, we need people to click on. We want people to watch it. So try to get these crazy stories out of people. And I never go for the TMZ style, like, oh, I'm going to draw something negative out. I'm always positive. But since I'm not a journalist, I just come out and ask, would either of you have a story about Nikolai or Roddy or something that maybe hasn't been told that you can tell here? And I can pretend that I was a big journalist and got it out of you.
I'm trying to think of anything that hasn't been told. Like I said, I wrote a whole book.
Yeah,
there's a lot in there.
This is where you're supposed to be that actress and make something up and make me look good.
Well, I can tell you one of the stories I put in the book. So I don't know if it's crazy, but it was crazy to me. So, I always grew up with my dad being my dad, and I didn't really see a lot of that more aggressive wrestling side of him, because he was always just fun and happy around me. But there was one of the first time I really remember it, I was in a nightclub in Los Angeles with him, and he some old dude was like annoying me, and I was just being polite about it, and he got so heated so quickly, and I'd never seen him be so aggressive. Like, he always hid that from me, so it was just like a weird 180. And next thing I know, I'm just hearing like, Teal, move, and like people are pulling me out of the way. He tried to throw this old man off the roof of the building. And the only thing that stopped it was there was this like plexiglass divider thing that you couldn't really see at night, like right below where he was trying to throw him. And I mean, they kicked the guy out because no one was going to kick Dad out. And it was the weirdest thing, because he just went from like fun-loving dad to like this hyper fucking aggressive dude that I've never seen before. And as quickly as it happened, just back to like, anyway, sweetheart, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there like, you just tried to murder an old man. What is happening? So I guess I don't really tell that story that often. It's not necessarily wrestling related, but it's a little bit, some of those special moments I had with Dad in LA.
Gotta protect the kids. Yeah.
Well, it was weird.
So,
yeah.
I
I think I only have, I guess, like one funny Roddy story. The first time I ever met him, I ignored him because I didn't know who he was. So we were sitting in catering. I was sitting in catering with a bunch of legends. It was Raw Goes Retro in Hershey, Pennsylvania, many years ago. And I was sitting in catering and I was talking to JR and Jerry Lawler and George Animal Steel and stuff. We were just catching up. And this guy, this out of the corner of my eye, jacket and hat, baseball hat and stuff, just kind of shimmies next to me at the table. And just him bumping into me, I kind of glanced and I was like, yeah, whatever, and kept going. And I took like a double take and I realized it was Roddy Piper. And I like stopped and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize you. Please, here, have a seat. And he goes, oh, it's all right, kid. I was ignoring you anyway because I thought you were Mr. T. And everyone at the table just starts laughing. That was my first time ever meeting him. It was a pretty awesome experience.
That's an awesome story. Yeah, you probably got some really good stories sitting around Hershey with that crew. So we're looking forward to checking you guys out WrestleMania week and everything else that's going on. But my final question is always my most important question. Where can the fans find you guys on social media? Not on your socials, but on your social medias. And then if you guys have wrestling tees and stuff for sale, can you guys plug everything away for us?
Absolutely. We're both on prowrestlingtees.com. You can buy our merch there. Teal Piper, Deimos, or look up House of Heathens for our House of Heathens tag team shirt. On Instagram, I'm RL Teal Tombs, or you can look up Teal Piper. Same with Twitter.
On Instagram, I'm official_Deimos. And on Twitter, I am real Deimos.
Neither one of you is on TikTok yet?
Yes, I am on TikTok. There's a fake profile of somebody. That one's not me.
Okay.
But I am on TikTok. I've made a whole 2 videos. I feel very cool and young and Gen Z.
I have a TikTok too. I made 1 video.
You guys need to get on it. Now I'm old and I made a TikTok just to follow Wrestling Travels Official. And my TikTok is nothing but wrestling clips and set to music. Like, I'm an idiot. I don't know how to use it. I've got 19 to almost 20,000 followers on there.
Nice.
So, I mean,
I'm going to follow your page.
Yeah, I'm going to follow you guys too. And then you can learn from me whatever I'm doing. And I can be a creator now, but I don't know what that means. But apparently I can make a couple pennies a view, but I've got to actually verify somehow. But it can be done. I'm just telling you. 1 video a day.
I definitely look through TikTok a lot. That's like my favorite place to just waste time at.
100%. I do too. And then I started getting, like, right around the election time, it was just conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. So sometimes TikTok
I go
is scary.
so deep down that wormhole. Oh
do
my
you
gosh.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I will spend hours looking at TikTok conspiracy theories being like, I'm too afraid to go to bed now. They're coming.
100%. Or then I think the way they get all the views is they're like, did you see that? The shadow? And I'm like watching, and I have to watch it like 37 times. Sometimes
you're like,
it's not
I
even
see
there.
Nothing.
Yeah. And then somebody goes, yeah, that's how they get views, is make people look at it. So I haven't done the trickery yet. But have you guys done the sorry, we were supposed to be done a while ago, but the Mandela effect? Have you ever looked that up?
Oh yeah. My little sister and I go back and forth on that all the time.
It's crazy.
But I dare you to find a conspiracy theory that I'm not well informed about.
Okay, all right. Because I told my older sister thought I was going nuts because I'm like, look in The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow has a handgun in one of the scenes. And they're like, no. I'm like, have you not heard that one?
No.
Okay, Mandela effect.
I know Mandela effect. I haven't heard the Scarecrow part of it.
There is a part, and you can look, as soon as we hang up, you're going to find it right away. There's a part in The Wizard of Oz where they're there and the Scarecrow's got a pistol in his hand. Yeah, I'm sure somebody will explain it to us in the comments, but yeah, that's crazy. Deimos, if you haven't gone down the conspiracy theory wormhole, it'll keep you awake at night, I'm telling you.
He's missing out. I send him videos all the time and then he just leaves them on red. He doesn't even like them. He just leaves them on red.
And that's the fiance. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna follow you guys on TikTok and watch your TikTok grow, and then I can say, hey, these guys started growing their TikTok because of my recommendation. But
Yeah.
Deimos, Teal Piper, I thank you guys so much for
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
and hopefully we'll talk maybe in 6 months when the world's a little bit more open. I check in with you guys and see where you're at. So thanks a lot.
We'd love that.
Sounds good. Yeah.